So we're gonna talk about Skies of Arcadia. I'm a bit excited about this. There's a lot to go about, right? There's a lot to talk about when it comes to Skies of Arcadia. But we do have to lay the groundwork here. I am gonna talk about the presentation, visuals, music, and then combat systems, story, and world. So not even like 30 seconds in the video, I have to pause it. When I say story, I have to explain what I mean. I'm not gonna summarize everything that happens in this game. There is a video online made by the only black mage who does it so well. Honestly, it's his focus on his channel. Go watch that video if you don't know nothing of Skies of Arcadia, and then come back here. I'm not gonna rehash what someone's doing better than me. Please, it's a good watch. Come back, and then we'll get into the gameplay stuff. I am also gonna talk about how we can change these things and bring this game back from the past. Some can say back to the future, but the movie is more about getting back to the present, which is the present was the future. Okay, so let's talk about it. Skies of Arcadia is among the classics when it comes to old RPGs. And you can see it many times on a couple of top 10 lists saying this RPG is amazing for such and such and so much. If you played it, then you know why it's loved. From the characters in its very colorful cast, and its grand adventure that begins with humble beginnings, you know, just usual pirate stuff, sneaking on board a ship, capturing a damsel in distress, making off with her after killing some giant boa creature. Nothing major, just standard, usual sky pirate stuff, you know? I know this IP needs some love. I want people to know why Vice is an amazing captain and why people love him. I need people to know, I'm gonna say this again, I need people to know why Aika is the best girl. Fire consuming enemies. Damn, what happened? Now let me be clear. I do not want a simple resolution up for this game. What I mean by I want a Skies of Arcadia remake. Something close to Resident Evil 2 or even Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm going to use Final Fantasy VII as an example, and I'm going to really get into it because it's a lot deeper than it goes if you really think about it. We do not know how a Skies of Arcadia will look in today's modern games. We have no idea how that game will even translate to today's modern games. I said that Final Fantasy VII is the perfect example, and here we go. Cloud goes from this polygon man to this. All the girls want him. They're thirsty. Jesse, I'm looking at you. Calm down. That does not happen overnight. We have been seeing Cloud's design be updated throughout the years. From every release and re-release of his game, or even spin-off. Let's go through the list. The original game, Before Crisis, Abbott Children, great movie. Dirge Servers, Crisis Core, Dissidia 1, 2, and 3. That weird PS1 fighting game. Even Kingdom Hearts, we can throw it. Even though he doesn't take from Kingdom Hearts, it's a shame we didn't get that costume in Smash as DLC. Like Sakurai, you would have just got more money, but whatever. So all that being said, we have a good idea how a remake Cloud and Tifa and the rest of the game will look like. This also goes for gameplay and combat. We can see that Final Fantasy VII Remake takes a lot from 15's Royal Edition. It's not a bad thing. Square Enix is a company that always tries to push the envelope by using what they know works. So for 7 Remake, all they did was take the materia system from, well, the original 7 and add a dash of combat flavor from 15, and we got this. And it feels just like a natural extension of the combat, like this is how it was supposed to play. That's how good they are at making sure the gameplay feels good. Oh, and before we move on, let's not forget the stagger system from 13. This system is honestly good for the game. It's good for RPGs in general. And one day I'll make a video on it and explain to you why it works. But just trust me, Square Enix knows what they're doing. This system has not one, not two, but 3 games of refinement, with Lightning Returns being the culmination of it. It is a great system. The game's gameplay is quite perfect. But we're here about Skies of Arcadia. Let's get back to it. Skies of Arcadia doesn't have that, and that's a problem. Because we don't know what our characters will look like in a modern day visual update, or even just modern day gaming landscape as a general. We have the nostalgic of it. We can play back the old games, but it's not a modern take. Sure, we have an updated visuals in Sonic All-Star Racers. We even have references, or side characters, cameos in Valkyria Chronicles. And I know you can even mention the Sonic comics because they showed up there at some point. But my point still stands. We don't know what the gameplay will look like either. So I'm saying this because anything done to this character, to these characters, or this cast, will be met with some level of dislike or even hatred. And I understand, but it's important to say that if you're going to remake this game completely, anything done will be going mostly blind. Sure, they have the old games as a reference, but remember, they have to make a whole new character. They don't have the extensive visual upgrades or visual work that Final Fantasy VII has. That's how much Square Enix has been pushing 7 to us. We've been seeing it over the years. Skies of Arcadia, not so much. Sega just kind of drop it, but it's okay. That's where I come along. There are going to be 3 parts to this, 3 major parts to this. There's going to be subcategories, but still just 3 major parts. Presentation, gameplay, and then the additions. I got to explain it, and then when I tell you how I'm going to change it. Hopefully you guys are just going to like it. Just let me know down in the comments where I messed up or where did I lost you. I'll try to address it for next video. So, when it comes to the presentation, I really don't want to change much, but that's impossible. Any game remade from back then to now, today's day and age, will go to basically a huge overhaul of everything. Sure, I want the aesthetic to stay true. I want the colorful and vibrant work that was displayed back in the Sega. I want true remixes of all the outfits. Let's take Vice, the captain, the big blue boy himself. He can go from this to this, and this is a logical place to take the character's design. Now, I'm not saying I want this in particular. I'm just saying if any company or Sega is to remake this game completely, they can take his design to a new direction, as long as we know the players that this is still Vice. Now, this artist did a bunch of the characters. I'm just going to show them because I really like the work. So here it is. Admire that. Please support that artist. But in all reality, what I'm asking for is the same treatment, again, FF7 got. Now, let's just take Tifa real quick. She went from this to this. This is great. The character is still the same. It's not Advent Children, but that's okay. Because we can see that this naturally leads into this, and I am inclined in liking the new redesign a lot more. I just don't know where or what, but something's doing it for me. Essentially, what I want is the game, well, Skies of Arcadia, to feel different but be the same. A new coat of paint on an old car. I want to walk through Pirate Isles and be like, yep, this is hometown. Now, when it comes to the topic of the old outfits, by all means, leave them in the game. Make it an option that you get as soon as you hit the first town. You can just switch everyone's outfit to the original OG stuff because people love these designs. People love these characters. Never take away what the player likes. Just make it an option. Next is visual style, and it's going to be a big one, so prepare yourself. heavily stylized games. Crazy Taxi, it is amazing. Punk rock, grunge, a little bit of 90s rap, all in one package. We got Space Channel 5, techno, funk, beautiful, love ooh la la. And the GOAT, the legend, the one and only Jet Set Radio. K-pop, K-techno, I don't even know. It is just an amazing game. Just look at it. All these games are legendary and they have one thing in common. They all do their own thing, heavily stylized in their own way. Skies of Arcadia is much the same. You will not find another Sky Pirate game of that era anywhere else. Now, I believe Skies of Arcadia should keep its anime-inspired theme. That style serves us in two ways. One, it can keep the story lighthearted, or its moments lighthearted, but when it gets dark, and it can show us how dark it gets, which is for a game, or for this game, to just balance those two drastically different tones is amazing. Okay, so this is the big one. This game shares its visual style, the Sky Pirate theme, with another in all media. One of the most beautiful movies ever animated in the world. If you know, you know, but it is my pleasure to introduce to you and make a case why this game should kind of borrow, or really should borrow, Treasure Planet. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk off the script here. While collecting footage for this movie, I watched the whole thing over again. It's fantastic. Please just go watch that again, and if you haven't, fix that. Two, more importantly, I don't even know this guy. I'm not his friend, but damn it, he made a really good video on Treasure Planet, and just his link is down there. This is his icon. Just please go give him a watch. Okay, back to the script. Why Treasure Planet? Well, because I think a fully realized modern take on Skies of Arcadia will look just beautiful, outstanding. I don't even know the words to describe it myself, but it will look just great, gorgeous. Just imagine the level of details that go into Treasure Planet. Now put that into Skies of Arcadia, and that's what I'm thinking. Now I wish I can art. I wish I can legitimately just put my brain on a canvas and let you guys see what I see in my imagination. But if you can somehow replicate what I'm doing in my head, by all means, just it will be a great game. It will be a great, fantastic visual style. I think it just pairs perfectly. Besides, you know, being Sky Pirates, they're Space Pirates. So it's a natural progression. All you gotta do is make it so the Sky Pirates or the Space Pirates don't go into space, and they can be called Skies of Arcadia, and it's so cool. Oh, okay, I'm ranting. Let me just continue with the video. Alright, so I don't know where to put music, so I'm just gonna put it here. So, listen, remix the whole soundtrack completely. In fact, make new songs from the ground up and do everything you have to do to, you know, make this game amazing. That being said, do not take away the old songs. Just put them in the game, and if someone wants them, if people, the diehards, want the songs, just make it a toggle menu, and boom, done. It's problem solved. It is gonna be beautiful. Now, I might be a little selfish, but the reason I want the songs to be remixed completely is because I just want Sky Pirate shanties. Just listen, it's cool. It's a cool idea. I know if they had a technology back then, they would have, but they couldn't. So now that you could, why wouldn't you? Right? I'm being selfish. I know I'm asking for too much, but I'm not. But I am. Just Sky Pirate shanties, please. A little someone. I don't know. So quick thing. I just have to go through a little explanation. Gameplay. Gameplay essentially is how you interact with the game. Most games have two ways: traversal and combat. Essentially, how you interact moving through the world and how you interact taking actions in the world. Period. That's the baseline. Without interactivity, you do not have a game. You have a music, you have a movie, TV show, or you have some ride at Six Flags. Do people still go to Six Flags? No, they do. Nice. So much like the previous sections, I am going to give an example before going into Well, Skies of Arcadia. We're going to do a massive 180 and go to a huge departure from RPGs. We're going to talk about first-person shooters. What? Yeah, you heard me. First-person shooters. Let's talk Destiny. So, straight facts, no bullshit. Destiny isn't the best when it comes to keeping its player base happy. That's just a stated fact that comes with the title Destiny. From release date of number 1 to the last DLC drop, they don't do a good job in keeping the player base happy. It is in a better spot now than ever been before, but I'll have to make my own video on Destiny soon, very soon. Anyways, Destiny can't keep its player base happy. They remove content. They change too much content. Weekly events, time events, they break PvP with stasis. This was broken, it's all hell. But the players still love to play this game, period. Why, you ask? Could it be the rich lore? Kind of. Could it be the beautiful graphics? Kind of. Could it be the soundtrack? I just listen to this one song. That's some great orchestra. Oh, that is great. This is top tier music. But that's also incorrect. The people who play Destiny play it for the top-notch gameplay loop. It is top tier in the industry. The gunplay of Destiny is that good that people come back to play it time and time again. They will do long, annoying, grindy quests just to get a blade. Oh man, I got all 3 of these. Oh lord. The sound, the feel, the design, the animation, plus the movement of Destiny of the player goes a long way. And let me be very clear here. Let me be specifically clear. I'm gonna try to speak my words as clear as I can be. If the gameplay wasn't apt to snuff, Destiny would have not made it as far as it did. Even with all the beautiful set dressing, the designs for the guns, the beautiful landscape, the skyboxes, if the gameplay wasn't as top notch as it is, it would have not made it this far. Bungie knows what they're doing when they're making a game. It's why Sony bought them, but we're not here to talk about that. So, let's break down the combat gameplay loop of Skies of Arcadia. Alright, I know I talked about Destiny for about 2-3 minutes. I'm gonna fix that. We're gonna get deep into Skies from here on out. I know my credentials are being questioned as I speak, but don't worry, these are the games I play. I love them. Alright, cool. Let's break down Skies of Arcadia's combat. But first, an explanation. The reason I want to break down its combat into every one of its elements is for we can understand the loop that Skies of Arcadia has. The reason I use Destiny as a example last section was because Bungie coined the 30-second loop. But this being an RPG, Skies of Arcadia doesn't have a 30-second loop. In fact, you can pause the 30-second whenever you want. Just don't take your turn. And you can go do your laundry, walk your dog, save the world, and then come back and play the game. So what's the combat loop that keep us, the player, interested? Let's break it down. Skies of Arcadia seems like your typical RPG, and for the most part it is, until you look under the hood. Sure, we got HP, magic, weapons, obvious healer, obvious damage dealer. Alright, but when we look deeper into it, this game does things a little bit different. Enough to set it apart and enough to leave an everlasting impression on those who played it. First, this ain't a simple, I take my turn, the enemy takes his turn type of RPG. This is a full turn system. Essentially, my team goes first, or I select the actions of my team, and then the game plays them out. If I focus fire on one enemy with my full party, and the enemy dies before the party finishes their turn, my party will simply queue that command on the next available target. Very standard, very good. Obviously, the person with the highest speed goes first. Now, before we get into anything else, we must discuss this giant bar on the top of the screen. It is the spirit gauge, or I like to call focus all day long. Essentially, this is where you can do your specials. What makes this super interesting is that this is shared among the party. So I can queue up 3 focus and 1 attack, 3 focus or 1 heal, 1 AoE heal, but still a heal. This means later down the line I'll be spamming the big moves quite often. If not, I'll be spamming a lot of special moves quite often. We do have magic and they do cost MP, but they also cost some of the spirit meter. Now, you will ask me, why the hell would you cast magic when you can just cast special and nuke the field, heal people, revive people, nuke a single target? Good question. You simply rarely will use magic. 1, you don't really have a lot of magic points. Alright, so you can't just heal off the get-go. But 2, and most importantly, the game has item boxes, or just spells in a bottle. You can literally just throw heal as an actual spell, as an actual item. It's amazing, it's beautiful. So it tells you can use your turn casting spells, you can use your turn focusing, attacking, defending, or you can use an item that's an actual spell. Everybody in this party has the use function from Riku in Final Fantasy X. Now, what's so important about magic? Well, everybody can learn magic. Skills, or their specials, because they're all specials, are character specific, obviously. Let's talk more about magic. Since everybody can learn magic, you don't have access to the whole magic chart early game. But this is where the game gets amazing. You can switch your element on the fly. I'm going to go into in-depth on this system later, but you can switch your element on the fly, and depending how you end the battle, let's say if I end the battle with a red sword, a green sword, whatever, I will get experience for that element. Once you level up, obviously you get more proficient in that element, and you get spells. Bigger spells, bigger numbers, bigger damage, bigger increase to defense, buffs, and whatever. All that factors in to the combat loop. Let me explain how this works. The combat does play very similar to many RPGs, but the key thing to note is that the special bar, the focus meter, or the spirit meter, which is what it's called, is the key determining factor. Because that exists, the game does feel completely different. I have more strategy to work with. Simply, I can increase the resources of that bar actively. It's like when you charge your special meter in a fighting game. You can do it actively. Now, I suspect because spells cause MP, and you don't get a lot of MP in this game, but because spells cause MP and spirits, you get the item boxes, which in turn, you make me want to use more items. I don't really use items in any games besides the Soft Needle, Phoenix Down, Maiden's Kiss, Revival Bread, Coffee, Curry, Persona, come on. But in this game, items are cheap, so you can buy them in bulk and use them sparingly. Well, you don't have to use them, you can just go nuts. This ain't the standard fight system where we have a certain amount of enemies. This game can just throw a buttload of enemies. And if Aika goes first, Aika must go first. She's the fastest. She can just land burst the field daily. Honestly, once you get your SP, your base SP to be just enough, I think it's 8, you're gonna know those words by heart. You're gonna know that skill by heart. It's gonna be burned into your eyes. I swear to God. Just, she's great. Best girl. On the other hand, the one real nice thing that caught me as a youngin' when I was playing this game is that the characters move like they're actually fighting in the background while the game is playing. They just don't stand on one side of the field. I'm looking at all of yous, but they just move, which is great. I don't know what to say. That small detail does a lot for me. It just hits it in the right spot of like interactivity plus waiting for the turns to play out. So that's the combat loop. This is the standard combat loop. Now let's talk about the big boy. While writing this section, I found the 3 magical words. I'm just gonna gush for a bit. The 3 magical words I love in this whole game: aerial, naval, combat. I cannot. Oh, that's so cool to say. I'm not gonna try to say it like that all the time, but excuse me if I really pronounce aerial, naval, combat. Just the concept itself gets me every time. Alright, you see the montage. I know some of you won't understand how cool and a game changer this is. It looks complicated, but it's not. But before we even get into it, I must tell you, the devs were on some next level shit. They were thinking PS3 era when they had the Dreamcast. They were thinking something ahead of its time. And it works. Because the game, or this section of the game, does not try to be more than what it is. Yo, Kitty, what are you doing? As you can see, I have cats, and they destroy everything. But I love them. Forgive them. Forgive them for me, please. Just forgive them for me. I love them and forgive them unconditionally. But you have to forgive them, okay? You have to forgive them, not me. They know I love them. This will be the only information you will ever get about these cats. Alright, where was I? More than what it is. Okay, cool. The ship battles are simply an extension of the main combat or main mechanics that you find when you're in combat in the overworld. Let me explain. You still pick your commands before your turn begins. And then the game will simply play them out in a sequence, much like it does in a regular combat. It's literally just a one-to-one kind of, except that you have one massive life bar instead of 4 separate dinky life bars. That means I can cast magic, use items, focus, and use attacks such as cannons, missiles, torpedoes, and the specials. Okay, listen, you're gonna be doing this a whole lot. I mean, a whole lot. So let's break down the loop just for we're all on the same page. Both teams set up of commands. Your commands can be one of many things in your options that are the same from the overworld combat experience. Attack, magic, items, defensive maneuvers, which is just defense, and focus. Once you pick your action, each one is determined by its accurate meter. So what happens through, let's say, this cannon, it has a chance of hitting, critting, or missing. Now here's where the huge level of complexity comes. It's quite massive. Everything you do will cost from that special bar. So every action is a cost to this resource. Now, the strategy is save up as much as you can, wait for this command, and then fire that cannon. One thing I will say that is a criticism to this day about the ship battles is that it simply takes too long. Sometimes you'll be doing this for about half an hour for one fight. And on occasion, the game will throw multiple fights in successions of this precise combat. It does wear thin sometimes, but I'm more resilient or more cool with it than most people, simply because I picture myself as the captain of the ship. So I personally understand that when I give an order, it takes some time for my crew to make it happen. If I say let's go up to starboard power, I don't know pirate talk. We say fire missiles. Okay, it takes time to load those missiles, get a bead, and fire them. All right, so obviously that's gonna take some time, but I do understand that this is quite a long process. So just cut the animations or speed them up by a third, maybe a fourth, and I think you'll be fine. Now this section is massively short, but you guys understand, I'm gonna talk about what I would do to modernize both the standard overworld combat and the ship battle combat. So, damn, the next section is gonna be so big. Oh my god, I'm gonna be talking out my butt. Woo-wee. All right, I got this. Okay, so before we start, if you notice my voice is a little off, I am a little sick. I've been dealing with something for about a week now, so no need to get into details. It just sucks, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop. Let's continue with the next section. So now that we understand the combat loop of a 22-year-old game, holy crap, 22-year-old game, holy shit, I'm old. I mean, I'm not 30, but god damn. Alright, enough of the interstitial crisis. Alright, back to the game. The game is dated, but that's fair. It is an old game. We cannot hold any old game to modern day standards. That's just unfair. There's no patches, there's no hot fixes, there's just the way it came out. The main reason why we broke the combat down to its basic levels is to understand how we can change it, add to it, and if need be, remove from it to make sure it can be, revitalized into a modern age. So after playing this game for years, thinking about it for years, living, sleeping, dreaming, killing, murdering, loving, having a baby, and even praising this game like a religion, I think I can do this. I think I can actually change enough or pitch an idea for this game to be remake. I think I can do it. First and foremost, we need a couple rules. I cannot break them. I cannot go back on them, but I can sway them if given enough context. So what are these rules? Well, after thinking this for a long time, I found four of them. These are the four things that make Skies of Arcadia Skies of Arcadia, period. Rule number one, Skies of Arcadia must keep its full turn system. Now this is part of its identity. Now let me explain. Before some of you say, well, it doesn't need to, it doesn't really have to. Let me explain. Most of you are going to use the example of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And yes, you are correct. Final Fantasy VII Remake does not take RPG turns, right? It's just an action role-playing game. Yes, but here's the main issue with that. Crisis Core existed. Crisis Core was the blueprint into leading Remake into what it is. Without that, we will not know how this game will look like. But Crisis Core wasn't a full mainline game, it was a handheld exclusive. Skies doesn't have the breadth of history and experimentation the 7 has. And that's why keeping it as close to the identity, but changing it will be important. So that's what I'm saying, keep the full turn system. So that's rule number one, keeping the full turn system. It's part of the identity of the game. I believe so 100%. Rule number two, keeping the focus meter. This is a huge part of the strategy that goes into this game. When you're playing it, your mind is constantly thinking of managing this meter. So it must stay. We're keeping the elemental change on the fly. That has to stay. It's part of the game. It's part of its identity. It's one of the greatest resources you can have. Not having a limit on this opens up a lot of avenue to how many enemies can be thrown at you at once. We're going to get more into that later, but this has to stay. It's beautiful. Most games have something like this, and it's cool, but it usually causes you a churn, or you have to cycle through some menu. This, it's on a button, it's quick, it's fast, it's painless, we love it, we must stay. And the last and foremost, the last thing is items. I believe having the player use items like they do in this game is important. Sky of Arcadia makes you a manager, makes you use all these items non-stop. In fact, it's part of the economy. Items are also tied into magic. Because you don't have a lot of MP, items become a pseudo solution. It's not a true solution because you can't cast amazing spells, but they cost MP. But you can use the basic healing, party-wide healing, or buff with items, which is great. Okay, quick rundown of the 4 rules I established. Of course I can add more, but I'm not going to. Let's just break it down. Keeping the full turn system because it's part of the identity of the game. That's rule number 1. No changing it. Rule number 2. The focus meter must stay an integral part of combat and strategy within this game. It's so prevalent that you use it both in standard combat and ship battles. Period. Number 2. Elemental change on the fly. We need this. It must stay. I'm not going to fight with this. This is just awesome. It's a good idea. Don't break what's not broken. Number 3 is keeping items and magic relevant opposed to each other, right? You can do awesome magic, but it costs MP. You can use standard magic, but you can just throw an item. It's an item box. It's great. Keeping it, love it. Those are the rules. I can add a million things to this combat just to add things for the sake of it. You know, it's just the way it is. But no, I'm not gonna do that. Let me show some restraint. Let me show some mastery. Let me show some wax on, wax off. I've narrowed it down to the standard combat at least. A few things I want to add. First and foremost, we must address the downtime between turns. There's a lot of downtimes where I can just put the controller down, watch my sequence play, watch long animation, which are great animations, but long animations nonetheless. And most modern gamers don't like watching 45 seconds of a spell being cast because that just adds up in time that the player is doing nothing. So let's change it. How can we stop that, or at least address the downtime between me picking my turns, because it's still a full turn system. It's not like every other turn. It's my turn. Once I pick my commands, they play out. So how can we address this? Well, one thing comes to mind. It might be obvious for others, but it took me a while to think about it, so let's just talk about it. I think between turns, or between sequences of turns, there should be a support attack and a support defense mechanic. The Atelier series has this covered, but let me tell you how it will work in this game, in Skies of Arcadia. So, Aika goes first, and if you have enough meter to spare, Vice can send an attack right after her. Now, this does not take up Vice's attack. It's just an extension of Aika's first attack. That means that when Vice does his turn and he's about to attack, right afterwards, if you still have meter to spare, Aika can go. We're just going to keep it to those two just to keep it simple. Now, let's flip it up. What about the defense? I think defense will work in two ways. Since we have to take account to how the battlefield is set up, you know, Aika can be in a different side of the stage and so can Vice. We have to play around this sequentially. What this means is that you can still get the option, but if Vice is close to Aika, he will intercept the attack. If Aika's alone in the field, she will just simply block the attack. Now let me give you what I'm imagining, right? Let me just paint a picture. Early game, since it costs spirit to actually use the system, the supportive action system, you as the player will have to make the decision to either save your SP for the next turn to use a Cutlass Fury, or to use your SP to either defend or do more damage to quickly kill off an enemy. This adds depth to the game. Now I have to actively pay attention to what I'm trying to do. Is it worth keeping my character alive at the cost of my special bar? Or is it worth letting them take more damage than they should or could, because attack can still miss? It's not a guarantee and you should never rely on a miss, but it's still there, just to keep the character alive. Now of course early game is going to feel like a do or die system, where it's going to be a little slow, but once you get more characters and more levels and more SP to start playing with, you can get nutty. Like killing enemies can give you extra SP, so you can offshoot the cost of an assist by killing an enemy faster. Or since you can still focus with a character and defend with other characters, you can also offshoot the cost there as well. Now, for gaining SP while defending, I think that if you do a just perfect defense, you should get some SP. Now this is gonna vary again depending on who's next to you or if you're alone. So if Vice is running up to you, if you press the button as soon as the attack comes out, boom, you block it, you get some XP. Or if you're alone and you wait till the last possible minute, Aika's alone, she waits for the last possible minute, she blocks, she gains some SP back. This addresses one thing. Combat will now be more fulfilling, in my eyes at least. I do like the way the combat is as it currently stands, but again, there's a lot of downtime between turns. This way, I am still engaged with the combat. I believe that this change it's still within the rules we set up for ourselves. The game is still full turn, and the combat is still centered around the focus bar. Okay, fine. I'll bite the bullet. I'll call it the spirit gauge. I know that's what it's named, but it's focus. Fine. On the side note, how many of you were like so mad that I kept saying focus? Just, I want to know. Like, this is not even like, this is like post edit mode right now. So like, how many of you are just mad that I didn't say spirit gauge? Oh, okay. Back to the video. Now, I think this needs to be mentioned. If I don't say it, obviously the possibility is there. So I'm just gonna squash it out right now. You can only use the assist if you're attacking, not if you're casting a spell, using an item, defending, or focusing. Same thing goes with skills and super. Only when you're attacking are you allowed to use the assist. If not, just imagine that you can focus and then assist attack however much times you like. It will become a dominant strat. It will become the only strategy you need to use. Honestly, you will win the game. That will be the only way to play the game. So in order to avoid that, I'm just gonna nip it in the butt right now. You can only when you're attacking can you assist. On the flip side, you can always defend no matter what. It's your choice to use that with discretion, but you can always defend when you want. So I already gave it away, but we need a win more mechanic. Essentially, rewarding the player for playing the way we intend them to play. I don't know what this mechanic would be called in game, but I'm gonna just call it quit focus. I need to explain what I mean by win more when it comes to the win more mechanic. Let's use Persona 5 once again as an example. In this game, if you use the right attribute of attack against an enemy who is weak to that attribute, you knock them down. Essentially, this rewards a player by giving them one more turn. In fact, in later games, you can pass this turn to a different party member, continuing the chain. In fact, this is so well fleshed out that it's a boss fight. And yet, look, listen, I hate these guys. I hate every single wave. I hate the timer. I don't even like the music, but I hate it. But it's telling that this one mechanic can be used to this extent in this game. It's so good that it's basically its own test to understand. It's a boss fight to test you on this specific mechanic. So what am I thinking about making it work for Skies of Arcadia? I was thinking something in the same turn, but we reward the player with more focus. I was thinking of calling it critical focus, but I think quick focus would be the better term. Essentially, if you do the right actions, you get more spirit for your spirit gauge, which you focus, so I'll call it focus. But I always say I'll call it spirit. I'll try. I will try to call it spirit. Okay. The example I gave last time is that if you kill an enemy quick enough with a assist attack, you will get more spirit. All right, that's incentivizing you to use your spirit. In addition, if you crit with an assist, you also get a little more SP to use in the next turn. I think leaving defense as it is, or if you just time it just right, you will get SP will be all you need to do. Now, remember when I said that you start slow with this system? Well, here's where it gets fun. What if through accessories and weapons, you increase your whole party's crit rate? At first you start getting 1 per crit, per assist. Then you start getting 2. And then I know where you're getting 3 SP per crit that you do as an assist. This is what I meant, but the game can get crazy with this. Obviously, I don't want it to just go nuts. But if we're using the mechanic correctly and it can be fleshed out to the extent where people understand what to do with it, you could design a bounty, which is this game's version of side content, to only take damage from assist attacks. Essentially, you will, or in special moves, because we just can't take that away, that's just weird. But anyways, from assist attacks, that's the primarily way they take damage. In order for this to happen, the mechanic needs to be played with, and numbers need to be changed. I'm thinking, to balance this, just rudimentary, this is nowhere near finalized, that if you attack regular, no assist, no nothing, if you crit, it should be a ×3 multiplier. Now, if you use an assist attack, since theoretically this can come out more than a regular attack, they should have a lower crit multiplier. I'm thinking 1.5. Now that might be too low, it needs to be played with, but that's just what I'm thinking to balance the system as an example. I'm never gonna, again, I can't make this game, I don't have the money. But still, I'm just saying, like, as an example. This keeps the combat, or in fact, it solidifies the combat to be revolved around the focus meter, which will be the spirit gauge. And more importantly than that, you have other avenues to increase this bar other than just focusing or waiting for the next turn. In late game, it will be one person attacking, one person focusing, sometimes two, another one healing or putting defense or buffs. That is essentially the late game, because all you gotta do is get this meter up and use a Cutlass Fury, a Tackle, Pirate's Wrath. I think with the supportive actions and the quick focus system, combat will become fun, and if not, more engaging, so you're more into the game because the combat demands more of your attention. A buddy of mine in college, when I was in college, he constantly told me, he was an anime weeb like me, he constantly told me that he loves these games, but he can never sit and play one because it bores him. It's not the story, well sometimes, the cutscene's a little too long, but story is story. But it's the gameplay, he said. He hates pushing one button, or he hates just sitting there and waiting for his turn. He needs to be more engaged. Which is why, to him, his favorite series is the Tales series. It's the only one he ever really finished. And Xenogear is the second. So with Skies, I think the supportive action and the quick focus system are still well within the bounds of the rules we set for ourselves. Combat is still full turn, and more importantly than anything, it is still heavily focused around the spirit gauge. I want to do something on the elemental switch system, but that's gonna have to wait with Magic. They're honestly tied so well together that to touch one and exclude the other will be foolish. Same thing with items, but we'll talk to that when we get to Magic. Okay, so for the next section, I don't even know what to say to this. I want more specials. Let me just explain why and how it's gonna happen. So first, let me explain the why. Why do I think we need more specials? Well, let me just use this sequence of events. Vice and Aika are like the unit. Sure, she's my best girl, but this is not even the bias. Just hear me out, okay? I know she's best, but just hear me out. This is not the bias speaking. They are PB and J. They are such a pair that if any one of them is getting jumped, the other one jumps in without a second thought. Let's use the first sequence of events. Bias jumps in and he is surrounded by enemies. Seconds later, she is right next to him being like, don't you do that without me. You know we killing together. They go in this ship, knock everybody out or kill them. They're using weapons, very sharp weapons. And then they kill an animal. I don't know what this is. It's a bow, but it doesn't look like it. But whatever. And straight after that, they kidnap a whole woman. A whole grown-ass woman. I mean, sure, he is not the best person to leave this girl with. He threw someone off the ship. But they know nothing of this girl, and they just take her. Sure, they're the heroes, we forgive them, it's a different light, this ain't Fox News. But still, that's what I'm trying to say. These two people are a unit. And gameplay-wise, that is never addressed. We don't see that in gameplay. Essentially, I want more specials. I want to see them interact in combat in some which way or form, which is why for the first I mentioned the support mechanic, so we can see them be the unit, the team that they are. Now, how will we get these specials, and who will get these specials? Well, of course, Aika, Vice, and Fina will gonna have the most, and then Enrique, Dragar, and Bash the Stampede over here are gonna have, well, least, because they're not really in the party all game. Okay, so how are we gonna get them? Many different ways. I don't think limiting ourselves to one is very congruent to a adventure style game or adventure style RPG. So the list can go down from simply beating some bounties, story, beating some side quests, finding discoveries, killing special enemies, and, well, just do the story itself. This does two things. It will ensure that players do get them, right? Since you get some of them through story, you will all have a few of them. Second being that now you have more reason to explore. We're incentivizing you to explore more, get those bounties done, discover more, kill weird bosses that you see randomly in dungeons, just a bunch of stuff. So it just makes you play the game even more, gives you more reason to do what you're gonna be doing, and rewards you for it with special moves. So that's really all I have to add for this section. It's pretty self-explanatory. Give me more special moves. I want to see the relationship these characters have translate into combat in some which way or form. Even if brief, this old man, Dragar, likes these kids. The last section. Let's just kind of zoom through it. We're gonna get more in details when we come into the ship battles, and what we're gonna try to diversify there in any which way form. So what do I mean by the crew? I want to see the crew more. As they're currently staying in the game, you only see these people in one special. Now that special is great, takes your whole bar, and it has a lot of variety. You could do, honestly, the customization for this is quite intense for a game of this era. But your crewmates, you don't see them. Once you acquire them and they are on your ship, that is all they wrote. That is all they go. So I want to make it so on occasion you see one of your crewmates come in on a fight and just do something cool and leave. Let's use Lawrence as a quick example, right? He comes in randomly through our fight. You'll be finding many enemies or bounties, since most bounties are done on your ship, and does a cool gun kung fu sword combo, I don't know, some cool combo. Comes, does it, slashes away, shoots, bang bang, leaves. Cool, does a decent chunk of damage. Alright, let's say he's level 2, and I'm gonna get into how he has levels, how his relationship with you equals 2 levels. We'll get into that in a bit. But let's say he has 3 levels, right? And you have level 2, you just unlocked it, you tried it. He comes in and shoots like an AoE barrage and hits a couple enemies. Let's say you don't like that. You like the high damage from his level 1. You can go into the menu and just switch it and keep it at level 1. So already we have some customization, which is good. What's the next step? The next logical step into this system? Well, I think we should just let it so random people can show up in your fights on occasion. By random, I mean the 11 people on your crew who are off duty. They can just be walking on the ship, see you killing some weird baddie, and they'll be like, you know what? I can do something cool, and leave. So how would this work? Well, I'm thinking, since you have 11 people, well, let's just explain the system. There's a crewmate system here where you gather crewmates around the world and they are on your ship to give you various special effects. Could be stats, passes, or specials, okay? There are 22 in total. From that 22, 11 of them are always on duty, so you can select and choose who's on duty. There's 2 per categories, 11 categories in total. Hence the 22 crewmates that you get in the game. So the system I'm thinking of is we're gonna have the 11 crewmates who are off duty on the ship just chilling, on occasion show up in fights. What they're gonna do varies on who it is. So it's just a quick list. We got health, heals, increased shields, defense, buff, attack, speed, crit, damage, AoE damage, execution, increase gold, experience, farm, rare item drops, all that. Right? There's quite a bit. Oh, even stealing, because, you know, pirates do steal. And that's what I'm thinking about. It's something similar to the Marvel 1 system, the special partner system, where there's just a huge amount of characters that can just show up on the fight. Now, yes, you can use certain combinations to get who you want, but if you just press a random button, you get a random character. And that's what I'm assuming. I don't want the crew to be part of your actual strategy. That is not what I'm talking about. What I want is that the crew shows up on occasion, does something awesome, and leave. It can be one of 11 different possibilities. And each one of them has a level 1, 2, and 3 of what they could do on the field. Would it be just more damage, more numbers, or just increased area? Could be. It could be that simple, or it could be each one of them have their own special things that they do. That would be fantastic as well. But that's really what I want to do when it comes to the crew and the standard battle. I want them to just show up on occasion randomly, do something cool, and then leave. Now, the way I'm thinking this system will work, on a good day, you will see them once a fight. On a great day, you will see them, let's say, 3 times a fight. On a standard day, just a standard day, you'll see them once every few fights. And it wouldn't be the same one. Right? Remember, you have 11 people. So 11 people have a chance of showing up equally. If it's the same one 4 times in a row, well, you got lucky. Or maybe unlucky, depends who you really want to show up. But that's what I'm looking for. I'll explain later how we level them up and what we're doing with that system. But first I gotta go into the ship battles. This is more separate than anything when it comes to the rules we set up. This is just free for the player to enjoy because they just have the crewmates, and good pirates have good crew. So this doesn't really involve the spirit meter. It doesn't really involve turns. It doesn't really involve the items or the elemental switch change. This is just an additional to the piece. This is what I mean, like I can bend it a little if it makes sense. This makes sense. A quick round off of things we added to the main combat. Assist attacks, quick focus, dual specials, and crew assist. And checking on the rules, I believe we stay really within the rules that we set up. We have the one section being the crew assist, but everything else does stay within the rules. It is still full turn. It is still heavily focused around the spirit meter. We did not change the elemental stuff. We're going to talk about that later, but it's basically the same. And more importantly, the items are the same as well. Alright, next we're going to get into the ship battles. And this is going to be a lot of explanation, so just bear with me while I just talk on and on and on. It makes sense at the end, I promise. I really do promise. So, time for the ship battles. I've been talking about this for a while and I've been hyping it up, so let's get into it. I want to do 3 things. Well, 1 major change and then 2 other supplementary change. That could literally be its own thing. So let's first talk about the rules. Everything is still the same, except that we don't have to worry about the elemental weapon switch. That can just go out the windows. Ship battles don't use that. So, given the rules that are the same, we have full turn, focus on the spirit meter, and having items and magic still be the same, and we really just need to add to the combat to make it seem a little more entertaining. Not that they're not. When someone asks me about the combat in Skies of Arcadia, especially when it comes to the ship battles, I tell them straight face that it's all a spectacle. All you really want to do is wait for this icon or this one, and it tells you you can use your special moves, your cannon. Once you do that, damage is done. Do that a couple times and you win every fight. Sure, it starts off a little differently when you fighting some black pirates, but after that, as soon as you get your cannons, you just rely on them for the rest of the fight. And it is cool and all, but ship combat does not evolve past that. To every creature, every ship, every boss you fight, all comes down to use your cannon, save up focus or spirit meter, and use your cannon again. So let's change that real quick. And off the top of my head, one condition I think that can really work in favor into this system is doing more with the ship battles, asking how you win. Do you repel the enemy? Do you slow them down or hit their engine so you can hop over their ship and steal from them? Or do you kill them? That way you have some strategy how you want to deal with people. If the enemy wants to run away, Well, that's the time where you can actually just chase them, hop on the ship, and take everything they're worth, shoot your cannon at them and killing them, or you let them go. I think having different wind conditions goes a long way in introducing different enemies and, more importantly, different strategies of how you actually take these fights. If you just want to slow down an enemy ship so you can actually board it and fight them and take their stuff, you're not going to be saving up for the moon cannon because that's going to do too much damage. What you're going to do is pelt them with as much as cannon, torpedoes, and missiles to hit them enough where they actually lose engine power, slow down for you can do that. A different strategy for a different outcome. My other example will be like, let's say you're fighting this giant bird god thing creature, and it's a quest where you have to fight it and get an egg from it, but the quest just tells you to fight it. So you fight it and you try to kill it, and every time you're about to kill it, it runs away. But you just fight it again and again and again. So it turns out this bird is a phoenix. Every time you kill it, it comes back, so you don't know. What you're supposed to do is let it run away, follow it, go to its lair, and take an egg. And that's how you complete that quest in particular. This makes the story, that quest line, that actual adventure, more in tune to the world. Because not only is it taking the actual mechanics of the fighting, the ship battles, but it also naturally integrates them into the world outside of combat. So if a ship runs away, or in this case, this phoenix runs away, you follow it because you can follow it, and it leads you to a secret spot, a secret discovery, and a secret area, making it more, cool in my opinion. Okay, so that's the strategy of fighting. Now let's talk about the actual fighting. I think we should make it so, again, you gain SP without using the focus command too often. So how can we do this? Well, quickly off the top of my head, I'm thinking we can add some Gatling guns and have them pelt the enemy ship to lower their defenses. Okay, cool, that's nice. Now, if you shoot down their missiles or torpedoes, torpedoes give you more since torpedoes are straight damage in this game, you gain some SP. Now, the combat of the ship is notoriously known for everything you do costing SP. True, I believe the Gatling guns should do as well, but it should be such a low cost, like maybe 1 or 2, that it doesn't affect you in the long run. If you just want to throw it out there, boom, duh, great. So if someone, let's say, use missiles are very clearly indicated in the command menu when they're coming down. If you pull a Gatling on that, well then Gatling shoots it, you have SP. When it comes to the crew system, the active crew members should be all specials, whether it be the same like before. So somebody should give you straight buff, other one should give you straight stat increase, and other ones give you, well, special moves. Whether it be damage over time, defense, full health, SP recovery, or full SP, it's just a really simple system to implement. I don't know how we can make it really more complicated than that, but I did mention levels, and we're almost there. Let me just do a quick cut into this awesome montage of one of the gameplay styles I believe will mesh with Skies of Arcadia so well, it is criminal that no one, honestly, the technology back then did not allow it, so I forgive them. Though it's not criminal, I'm just pendactic, or 2020 sucks. So let's go. Well, 2020 did suck, but I was talking about 2020 vision, like hindsight. Stop. Let me just, to the video. You saw the montage. You understand where this is going. You see, you can visualize how this will work. Skies of Arcadia can easily facilitate or easily integrate Ace Combat dogfighting style into its world. Period. It can be easily explained in lore, but it can work. So my idea on how this will be introduced will be simple. The Dolphin, the main ship in this game, is a state-of-the-art battleship. It is Also, not too hard to believe that this state-of-the-art battleship has a prototype high-powered jet craft on it. When you and your crew go to Yafutoma, the Blue Moon area with the Blue Bird Phoenix monster Gigas, there is someone who sees your ship and wants to just join your crew. You say no, so he sneaks in and he's just making noise, saying like just talking gibberish while he's looking at this high-powered prototype aircraft. Everybody looks at Enrique and he's like, I don't know what's going on, but he seems to know what he's talking about. And he tells him his story. He just wants to go venture around the world, which is what Vice wants to do. So he empathizes with the guy. That's fine, you can stay. The guy doesn't even hear him say, yeah, you can stay. He just says, can you pass me a wrench, please? So they let him work on it. When the blue Gigas bird giant monster thing shows up, it is too fast for the ship to catch up with it or do some noticeable damage to it. So he comes up like it's ready, and Vice is like, what are you talking about? He's like, come here, I'll show you. Push these buttons and fly. And Vice just listens to the guy, flies, takes off. You shoot the bird a couple times with a couple missiles and torpedoes and Gatling guns, slowing it down enough for the ship to do its job and destroy it with the Moonstone. Boom, done. Scenario written perfectly within game lore. Okay, so that's gameplay style that can fit very well into Skies of Arcadia 1. I'm going to tell you about 2 right now. This is going to be the long one where I have a lot of explanation to do. Okay, so the second section I'm going to talk about is going to be more theory crafting. It's going to be hugely different from the Ace Combat dogfight system I was talking about. It's going to be a little bit akin to Fire Emblem or War Groove or Advanced Warfare. So how does this work? Well, it's like a grid system. You move your characters like it's tactics. Why do you ask? Well, I feel like tactics or tactical type manner is more attuned to the RPG genre. I mean, just look at Final Fantasy Tactics. It's great. Honestly, if people haven't played that game, like, do yourself a favor, like, go play that game. It's something else. Now, in Skies of Arcadia, let's skip to how will it work, and then I'll explain in lore why it should work or it'll be implemented. Why would it work in Skies of Arcadia? Essentially, I'm trying to make it so you don't have to do multiple fights back to back to back. Let's call these command missions, where you, Vice, are commanding a fleet. How do you get this fleet? We'll talk about that after I explain the gameplay. Just imagine you have 5 ships. You have your main ship, which is the Dolphin. You have 2 attackers, 1 healer, and 1 long-range vessel. Cool. You have to whittle down your enemy's forces so your main ship can get to their main ship and initiate the ship battles. This is, of course, assuming that the changes we made to the ship battles aren't enough to keep them interesting. Again, they're mostly spectacle, but they're quite simple. It's a 1v1. So let me explain how you will get these ships. Well, throughout the world, you will either save ships from black pirates. You will find ship graveyards or even shipyards where you can just buy ships and add them to your fleet. Of course, the system really opens up when you get your own island and you can start commanding your own fleet. So now we can actually have these epic giant fleet versus fleet fights. That's just why I call them command missions. You'll be essentially commanding your own fleet. Now this system will be, in the way I'm envisioning it, right? The way I'm seeing it, this system will be integral to the whole game. Every time you have a fleet combat or even a ship battle, you get your own different currency. Every time you do favors or side quests for the world, you get some of this currency as well. So there's people you help that will come and fight you. People you save that will come and fight for you. And also people you can just buy that will come fight for you. Now, the idea is that they will come, do the fleet combat with you, and then leave. Or you can hire them full time on your island. The objective of the fleet combat is quite simple. Like I said, open a way for your ship to get to the enemy's main ship, where you can still have those 1v1 epic ship battles. I'm just adding a little more flourish to it, a little more spectacle to it. Okay, so how will we explain this in the world? Well, a few things. I'm thinking we should really expand the pirate side of the world. Just having black pirates isn't enough. So let's talk on how we're gonna do this. I'm thinking there should be pirate lords, sky kings of the sea, if you want, right? So there's 6 of them. Your dad is one of them, the captain of the Blue Road. He owns the Blue Roads, all right, and that's what you're part of. On occasion, he lets you use his fleet because he sees you as his successor. Obviously, Vice can do what he wants, whether he wants to be a successor or not. That's by the story writers. I'm not writing the story for this. This explains how you start with a fleet and how the system is introduced to the game. The other 5 will be 1, the Pirate King, and then 4 others. So we have the Blue Road, the Pirate Kings, and the rest, which will be 4 other ones. One of them can have ties with the Armada, so they're always letting that thing slide or do shitty stuff for them. Another one can just not like the Blue Rogues' way of doing things, so they always are storing up their butt. One could be a woman that just like, I like Vice, I want Vice, he's gonna be my next mate, if you know what I mean. And the other one can be some just annoying old man who just wants cash. Straight greed is his man's name. Aside from that, we still have our other captains. We still have other ships. We still have the Black Pirates. We still have Dragar and other captains, the Mary and all that stuff. I'm not going to get into telling you what each one does. But at certain points in the game, you have to fight them. Whether it's to get them off your tail, to prove yourself, to have them to help you, or because they're being played or misled, you have to fight them. So let's take the greedy old man for example. He has this giant base in a cave, right? Where you have to literally fly through it a couple times. And every time you go through it, because it's the only way to get through, he sends ship after you to go and try to steal your ship. Just to damage you and take your stuff. If you find his location and fight him, he will leave you alone forever. Because he's like, okay, I obviously can't handle you. You get a pass. Don't shoot your cannon at my base. I need my base and I need my bed. And it's just stuff like that. For him in particular, I think it's better because he owns a giant mountain that's blocking you from entering. And that's how he gets his money, because he's literally the toad. If you want to get through, you pay for it. You have to pay the toll. But since he wants the dolphin, which is your ship, there you go. He's always going to send someone after you. And after you get annoyed and long enough, you fight him. And you're like, let's just duke it out. Alright, so this will increase the world's size drastically. Or not drastically, but it will introduce new lands to explore, new people to interact with, and more of the ship combat. We will be able to see more cool ship designs. That's just a given. So that's my justification in game and in lore why I think command mission, let's just call them command mission or fleet combat, will work. In game, where we see more pirates and more pirate lore, and we get to explore that part of the world, right? That part of Skies of Arcadia. In lore, it just fleshes out the characters and the politics of the world. I mean, like, let's be honest, it ain't just the Blue Rogue, the Black Captains, the Black Pirates, and the Armada who are just running the show. It's not just them. There'll be a lot more people at play here. And we just get to see more of the world. We get to see more bases, we get to see more people, we get to see how different cultures interact. Okay, so next section is going to be the magic, items, and the element switch system. I might get crucified for this one. Oh, right, levels. I totally forgot. I've been talking about this for so long, and I forgot about it. Simple. I'm gonna do this real quick. So, levels. How do we level up our units, our crewmates? Through the fleet command missions. If they are currently active on the fleet command missions, they get experience. And once you max out the experience bar, you have to put them on off duty. So then you go into your ship, you walk up to them when they're offline, off duty, and you just talk to them. Tell them I'm asking for money, others actually for discovery, some rare items, and that's how you level them up. Now, the last level, which will be level 3, they want you to do some weird quest line that either ends you finding a treasure map or whatever, and even a boss, and then that's how you get their level 3s. What this does above anything else is flesh these characters out, gives them meaningful quest line and purpose for you to actually get to know them. It's a win-win because you can get your favorites out the way first and then just do the rest when you feel like it. There's no force to if you want all the moves, but you can get them. If not, you can stop where you like. Magic, items, and element switch system. These 3 systems are, well, perfect. It's like a puzzle piece that fits just where it needs to be. This is how these 3 systems work. A quick rundown, I know I went by it, but this video is long, so you guys may have forgotten. So, MP is low in this game. Extremely low. Criminally low, honestly. Because of that, you supplement low magic spells, low cost spells, with items. And you get levels by finishing the fight with said element. So if I'm using the red element, the red sword, at the end of battle, I get experience for that element. Now, characters with high magic affinity need less experience to level up their magic. So, Aika and Fina, they're the best. They're gonna learn all the spells very early on. Vice is gonna have to catch up. It's tough on him, I'll be honest with you. That being said, primarily you wouldn't be using magic. As it currently stands in the game, magic is a afterthought if you want to use it. For the most part, you will only use the items for their benefits, to supplement magic. You wouldn't use high damaging spells because they just simply cost too much. I did say that MP is low. I mean this. Just look at these numbers and look at these levels. This is low. This ain't a problem because the game balances itself out, but it's still pretty low. Magic is a dual cost. It costs the MP and, most importantly, it costs the SP. Something that combat is heavily revolved around. So at the end of the day, all you do is use it for your specials. Pirate's Wrath, Rain of Sword, Land of Birds, Delta Shield, Lunar Blessing, you get the point. So I want to change that. I want to make it so magic is at least used sometimes in combat. So I present element resonance. The strategy when it comes to using any element, have everybody be the correct element that they need to deal damage most optimally. So if the elements are weak to green, you're switching to red. Pretty simple stuff. Pretty simple stuff. Now, though that is the main strategy, I want to make it so you have to use magic, or you want to use magic on occasion. We're gonna up how much magic you have by a small amount. Let's add it like by 50% more than you usually do. Alright, so some people are gonna have 90s and someone might actually have like 200 by the end of the game. So, what about the element resonance that I mentioned? I hear you asking. Simple. If you use an element long enough, let's say you're using purple, just hear me out. You're using ice element. Okay, at one point after a few fights or you do enough damage or kill enough people, certain conditions can be met, your character will resonate with this element. Meaning that they will have increased crit chance when they're performing an assist. This will also increase the SP you gain. And if you kill an enemy with an assist, like we mentioned before, you also get extra SP. Okay, cool. Now I'm gaining more SP, so I can do more specials. But this is about magic, so what will we do about this? Simple. When your element is resonating, your spells will do double damage. This is big for a few reasons. First and foremost, you're not really using spells on bosses. So if you have an element resonant, you're just going to use it for SP and assist attacks. But if you're just killing regular creatures, you will just nuke the field and the fight that much faster. Here's the little bonus that will just tip the scale for you to use magic. if you kill enemies while you're elementally resonated, that's a weird word to say, you will get double magic experience. And that's the ticket. This way, magic has a turn in combat. Magic comes up, says, it's my turn. Magic gets done, casted by obviously Aika or Fina, and then you go back to the same strategy. Attack, 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 special attack, special attack, special attack, and when you get elementally resonated, you will now use magic. So magic has a turn and a purpose in combat. Of course, the item bosses will still be there to just supplement low-cost magic. But when it comes to magic saying, hey, it's time for the big weapons, the big spells, they have a turn as well. Okay. What if you don't want to cast magic? Let's say you're Vice and you have this resonant and you don't want to cast magic. He will be able to cast a special of an element type. What do I mean by that? Well, these will be more unique moves in his arsenal that are resonated with a certain element that he's using. Reason being, since they have a condition that have to be met other than the SP to use, he will have a better special. So let's say he, making this up, he uses wind magic. He's resonating with the wind element. He now creates a tornado on you, jumps up, slashes it from above, clearing the skies, and then cutting the ship and the rest of the world in half. Something over the top like that. Of course, it's a special you have to unlock after some weird dungeon, boss fight, treasure, something, you know. We gotta make you work for it. Okay, so let's talk about the loop we created before I move on with more magic changes. You now have the ability to do supportive actions, whether it be a support defense or a support attack and assist. Using assist attacks, that crit will give you SP. Also, timing your defense will give you SP. So now you have more of a reason to pay attention in combat to gain that little bit more of SP. Because of the extra SP you're going to be having, I introduced dual specials. Okay, in that same token, you can consider the element specials to also be there. The resonance specials, let's call them. The element resonance system also allows you to generate more SP because it increases your crit chance while you're performing an assist. You can cash out this damage with a massive spell, nuking the field, doing double damage, and per enemy you kill, you get double magic experience. And from there on, you repeat. Now, with these changes, you, the player, are more active in combat because of the assist attacks. Through proper management of using this, and look at luck, you get more SP for your specials. And with magic coming back up every now and then with the resonance system, it's able to break up the monotony of using the same specials all the time. Magic became more useful and you got more unique specials with the resonance specials. But of course, since this is all theory talk, please comment down below if I hit the mark, miss it, if you catch what I'm throwing, if you're slinging back what I'm pitching. Just throw a comment down below and let me know. Alright, so we got the combat loop and magic all intertwined. But magic still seems binary. And maybe this change will still let it be binary, but it will do a little more to make it its own thing. What do I mean? I'm thinking there should be an elemental blight system. What I mean by this, simply element effects on characters and enemies. If we're casting green magic, and green damage does a lot of poison to this one creature, or boss, let's say the turtle, since we want to poison this goddamn turtle. I hate this thing. This boss fight is so annoying. But we poison it. Cool. Poison is one of its course that lasts about 4 turns maximum. Before the 4th turn is over, what we can do, since it has a earth effect on it, earth blighted, you can cast fire on it, and fire will do bonus damage to it, consuming the poison, consuming that stack of blight. Of course, you can substitute that with an item. And now, for those who played the game, you can see this really working out into your favors. It's just ways to squeeze a little more. So let me use another example. Let's say you freeze an enemy. Alright, he's frozen solid. Well, in this game, Earth beats Ice for some weird reason. Okay, so you can poison that enemy who's frozen, guaranteeing the poison, and poison does more damage because he is ice blighted by the purple element. Essentially, I want elemental blight. This will expand the practicality of magic, because now, instead of just it being damage, buffs, and debuffs, you can use this as opportunities to do a little more than just attack. Yes, I focus heavily on the attack aspect of this game because that's what we do for most of the time. It's attacking, building up the focus meter, and then using specials. But now when the opportunity presents itself, you can do something else. Another way to break up the monotonous of just straight up attacking. So if an enemy is on fire and you cast wind magic on them, the fire goes out, but the wind magic slows them down, so they lose speed, and it does bonus damage. Not a lot, but bonus damage. So you took the effect that they had, which was burning, and you switch it up for slow, while doing a little more extra damage. That's all I have for the elemental blight system. Personally, I think this is a little too much. Maybe I'm adding too much to the game. Maybe I'm suggesting way too much now. Magic is already going to be OP when it comes to double damage spells. But that's just my example here. Hope you guys like this one. I don't know how I feel about it completely, but I did put a lot of thought into this, and I thought it's been in my head for a couple of weeks now, so I figure it'll be just best to just put it out here and let you guys decide. Is it a little too much, or is it just right? Maybe it needs to be toned. Again, let me know in the comments. Alright, so if I haven't got crucified yet, this is where I will get crucified. I can guarantee it. On the screen right now, there's a diagram of the magic in this game. We got 6 schools of magic. This is silver, but I'm gonna call it white magic just to make it easier on myself. So we got earth, which is green, fire, which is red, purple, which is ice, blue, which is wind, thunder, which is yellow, obviously, and white, which is silver. So white magic is, well, this. As you can see, this game has what I would like to call multi-element interaction system. A fancy way for saying this element affects other elements in different manners. Looks good, looks fine. I mean, when I first saw it as a kid, I was a bit confused, but I understood it. And to be honest, it's pretty cool that one element can affect so many others in a different myriad of ways. Usually just by numbers, but still affect them nonetheless. So there's a problem with this diagram right here. I'll give you a few seconds to figure it out. Alright, do you see it? I'll give you 2 more. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. You don't need all the elements. In fact, you only need 2. Blue and white magic. Let me explain. Let's take green for a second. Green has 2 positive interactions and 2 negative interactions. Green is strong against purple and blue, but weak against yellow and red. Alright, so that's 2 negative plus 2 positive. So it's a neutral interaction. Most elements have that, except that's a lie. Yellow and white don't have that. But more importantly, white doesn't have that. White doesn't have the restriction that most of the elements do, where you have to switch and pay attention who you're attacking with. Good, but I said you need 2 elements in this game. So white and yellow are opposed to each other. But yellow is weak against blue magic. So essentially what I learned when I was a kid, studying this, you only need white magic and blue magic. White magic to handle the rest of the game, and blue to handle just the yellow. This is confusing, and also this is bad. If I see this, I understand that this wasn't planned out as thoroughly as I think they wanted it. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. This game is 22 years old. I don't know. It can pay rent, for God's sake. But it's a bit confusing and a bit convoluted as well. To the developers' credit, this must be said above all else. This game is impeccably balanced. It's so well done and thought out that you know how to deal with all the elements appropriately before you come to the realization where you only need two, so you wouldn't take that route. They drip feed you the ability to switch to these elements at the right time when dealing with those enemies, so you now learn how to play the game properly. So this is credit to the developers. They did a great job. Still, the possibility that this is in the game is an issue to me personally. So how would I change this? Maybe I don't need to. Maybe it's fine how it is. And you know, it could be, because, well, the developers balance this out magically. But since we're doing this whole stick, how would I change it? Let me put my money where my mouth is. Though I'm broke, let me put something where my mouth is. Let me just get some food. Alright, I'm back. So what would I change? Okay, so red, purple, and green can all stay the same. They're perfect. Don't need to change that. You got earth, fire, ice. Nice. The same thing with yellow. It can stay just how it is. But this one right here, this light blue cyan color one, I hate it. I hate it. In game, in lore, this is supposed to be the wind moon. Okay, I dig it. I can see that in the spells and in the gigas. But it's also supposed to be the water moon. What? Nothing about this school of magic and the gigas it comes from represents water. That's an issue. Just having the water dungeon doesn't make it official. So I wanna take this blue moon, this dual element lie right here, and split it in two. So now we have the wind moon and the water moon. But looking at the chart, white is left by itself. Not anymore, because we got the dark side of the moon. So now in total we have 8 elements instead of 6. Not too bad. Simply adding 2 more doesn't complicate things at all, and the 2 that we did add feel like they should be in the game already. Especially since we have a dark moonstone in the game. Just a quick rant here. When I was young and I saw this and I read dark moonstone, I was like, yo, we get dark magic. Yo, we get dark magic, but it never happened. The dream was like a lie. So I'm doing something about it now. So we got 8 elements. Let's explain them. I'm gonna take the 2 easy ones off first. White magic. It governs life, spirit, raises people from the dead, cures status effects, and does true damage. Alright? The light hurts. Black magic. Erasure and death. Okay. So it casts doom, instant kill, and also does true damage. Also, dark magic will inflict curse on the player. When inflicted by curse, it will reduce the amount of SP you gain per turn. So a bit of yin-yang here with white and black. So it's quite simple. One increases the SPs, one lowers the SPs. They both do damage. One raises from the dead, the other one costs it. 2 sides of the same coin. Now for the next ones are going to be pretty self-explanatory. So let's just bang these out really quick. Green magic, which is the earth one, it governs healing. Healing, poison, roots an enemy to lower their, evasion. Earth-based magic attack. And that's about it. Now to red magic, which is fire. Governs damage type spells. We can burn the enemy, we can cast fire-based magic in the enemy, and we can buff our physical attributes. Next is purple, which governs ice. We can slow, stun enemy, and have ice-based attacks. Also increase your defenses. Next you got yellow, which is the thunder. Debuffs like confuse, paralyze, and increase crit chance. also has thunder-based magic attacks. Next is light blue, which is wind, governs over speed. We get speed buff, increase our dodge chance, and we have wind-based magic attacks. Now, how are we going to tackle water? Well, quite simple. Water equals buffs. We got shields, we got power up to our magic, and we got water-based attacks. As we can see with this layout and what I've just suggested, all schools of magic have their own unique role in combat. You want to kill an enemy instantly? Well, use some dark magic. Well, if you want to revive, white magic. If you want to just increase your overall damage through physical attacks, well, there's some red magic for you. You need a healing? Green. You get the picture. Or if you want to just shield everybody from like instant kills or whatever, well, you can use water magic just to put a shield. You can just take a one-time hit, like popping a bubble. After revisiting this topic, my great counsel has told me that I haven't done much with black and white magic. So into that regard, white magic has a skill where you just coat yourself in pure mercury and you reflect all incoming attacks. Black magic has the opposite, where you coat yourself in pure liquid sponge, where you absorb extra damage. But the trade-off is that now, every time you get hit, your damage increases dramatically. If you heal anytime during this, the sponge is gone, the effect is gone. So we got a high risk, high reward. You can do high damage, but you're gonna be critically low or critically damaged. I can just imagine boss fights being introduced or thought of with these two mechanics separately, or even together. It'll be amazing. At last, we come to the end of the magic section. That's the three things we want to do: elemental residence system, elemental blight system, and changing the elemental chart itself. It went from this to this. I think that's more better and cohesive for everybody to understand. But that's on me. Let me know. I honestly think this is gonna be the most controversial part of the video. So I really need to know if this is good or bad. If this works for you guys. If no, please let me know where I missed it. Like, what would you do? How would you come about this? But just let me know. I want to apologize for the abundance of static images in the last section. Though they were needed, I feel that the viewing experience has suffered a bit. That being said, prepare for more static images coming up. It is what it is. I mean, we added a new moon. So, that means a new region and a new Gigas, period. So hear me out. This is the water moon. And given the contents of water, I'm gonna make the moon, or the faction for the moon, a giant body of water. Please, I'm not losing it. I'm not tripping right now. Just hear me out. There is an island, a large body of mass, where ships actually sail the seas. The way this is explained is that there is a huge, massive amount or deposit of water moonstones. Let's call them sapphires, right? Because they're blue. And since it's on the bottom of this floating island, and that's so strong that it's pulling the water up from the abyss into itself, creating a artificial ocean, if you will. Now, it cycles because it goes up to the mountain or the landmass, pushes away from it, and falls back down. And it's been happening for so long that the water is now clear. Also, scary stuff happens. This area of the world would also be known as the Lawless Lands, the Lawless Sea, or as I would like to call it, the Liquid Seas. This is where the pirate faction will be based out of, at least where the Pirate King will be. The main town or city hub of this region will be a place known as Lagoon. In Lagoon, it rains constantly, but there are times where the sea calms down enough and you can sail the waters freely if you're good enough. The idea is, for sky pirates, they learn how to sail on the seas before being able to take on the turbulent winds. Some of them just skip the sea part in general, which is, it's kind of like skipping graduation. Not great. But this is common known through Vice, Ica, and most of the pirates of the land. The Pirate King is not located in Lagoon. He is behind a giant wall of mist. We call this the wall. If you do not know what you're doing when you go inside the mist, looking for the Pirate King or whatever, you will be either lost forever, or you will simply come out of it not knowing where the hell you are located. It is said that the Pirate King's base is in the mist, but no one knows how to get to it. No one but the pirate lords and those he trusts the most. The idea is you have to know where you're going to get there. His base, the pirate headquarters, is known as the Fountain. It is a giant mountain with a giant mining shaft in the middle, aligned with sapphire that shoots water from the bottom all the way to the top. Now, the coolest thing about the Pirate King himself is he is such a lover of the seas that he's aligned his deck, his bottom half of his ship, with sapphires. So every time he takes off, he brings some of the ocean with him. So his ship is the only ship that's constantly on water, even when it's flying. Honestly, he is the true sailor. Aside from that, Lagoon is a place where you can actually fish, because every RPG needs a fishing minigame, and I played too many of them. Now I also believe it myself. I've been converted. Goddamn it. They got me. I'm sorry. Some of these are good. Alright, enough of the location, fishing, and the Pirate King. Let's talk about the Gigas, the major part of this area. Well, the Gigas is, I'm thinking, some Cthulhu type monster. It doesn't have to be a octopus, a squid, or Cthulhu itself. It could be a giant clam, it could be a water spider, it could even be a jellyfish. You know what? No. Yeah, let's go with jellyfish. Jellyfish spider. Oh, that's even better. It sleeps underneath the ocean. Now, every time it wakes up, the sky clears for like a day or two and then goes back to sleep. It is said that when the skies are clear and you enter the wall, well, you die because the jellyfish gets you. They call it the Kraken, but it's anything but a Kraken, given its previous description. So the major story here is that the Armada wants the Moonstone. That is one of the Pirate King's most valuable treasure. He never wants to use it, he just wants to have it. And you, being the good pirate blue boy you are, is like, hey, Pirate King, please let me borrow that so the world doesn't get destroyed by the Armada. He's like, nah, I don't trust you, I don't like you, I'm a Pirate King, yada yada. Sometime later the Armada attacks and he defends against it, but he sees the actual danger of it when one of his pirate boys takes it, uses it, and summons a Kraken. The reason why he was betrayed? Well, his family is being held hostage. So this one of his crewmates has to do what he needs to do to protect his own. So he's kicked out after the events, but not hated up. He just can never come back. After that, you have a 1v1 with the Pirate King himself. First on a ship battle, because you know, we gotta see the ship that's always on water and in action. After that, it's a 1v1 on a small island known as the Sunken Tier. You have to find this location before you can actually fight him. It is a coral reef type island where his mom is buried. Now, only one person knows about this, and you are now the second, which is why it's a 1v1 between him and Vice. After the fight, you get the Moonstone and the pirate quest line that started at the beginning of the game when you got your actual dolphin, or you know, with the little jack, has ended. You clear all the pirates, or the pirate lords, and even the Pirate King. What I hope the idea of a pirate faction like this gives is that, one, the world is much bigger, massively so. Two, there is not just the blue rogues and the black pirates, there are other ones as well. Besides those one-off ships that you see, you also have the rest of the pirate armada, which is, well, the Pirate King and the Pirate Lords. Usually, the Pirate King has it so pirates act honorably. Depending on which Sky Lord you're under, depends on how honorably you could or could not be. Black pirates in general do not care for anything of the Pirate King, which is why they're labeled the Black Pirates. They can do whatever they want for the most part, and they follow one guy because he's just that guy. Black Bear, whatever you want to call him. So that's like another dimension to the pirates, or having a pirate faction, is that it's not perfect. They're even at odds with each other. That's pretty much it when it comes to the water moon, lagoon, the wall, the fountain, and the Pirate King, plus fishing. Okay, so let's talk about the world, the setup, and more importantly, the discoveries at the end. The world needs to make a bit more sense. What do I mean by that? Well, you discover a lot on your own, which is fantastic. It's great even. But I think that giving all the discoveries to Vice is quite silly. They are treasure hunters and they are explorers in this world as well. Let's take Yafutoma for a second, or even that the world is round. The technology used to found this is from the Balua Kingdom, the yellow place. Why wouldn't they take credit for this first, to show how great they are and technologically advanced they are? Honestly, they had some idea that this was the case before Vice even knew it, before we even knew it. That's what I mean that it doesn't make sense. Sure, in gameplay, I found everything on the greatest explorer ever, but that's not how it's really gonna work when we're trying to make sense of this. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, and that could be the case. But what I'm thinking to compensate you for at least discovering it as well is that you get the first rate. If you discover it first, you get that cash prize. If you don't, you get half of it for confirming that it's true, from two different sources confirming that what happened is true or what was found is true. That way, if you discover something, you have an urgency to turn it in. Most of the time in the game, when you discover a bunch of stuff in succession, you just all cash it out at once. But if someone else beat you to the punch, because why wouldn't they, it gives you more urgency to turn that in. On certain discoveries that only you yourself can find, you will also get, a moonberry or two for your troubles. That way it's not all about the money, but cash is a very powerful incentive. To make a system like this work, I feel that after every point in the game, some discoveries that you have missed out should be discovered. So if you want to miss out on these, just don't find them, or progress to the storyline and you won't find them. But if you do want to find them, you will take your time, explore the world, and obviously you will get it. Some locations, like I mentioned earlier, can only be found by you because either the quest line or you have the dolphin. So that's my take on revamping the discovery locations in the game. This will make the world feel more alive than anything before because it's moving along with you and without you. So if you left something behind, you best believe someone else will come and take it for you. Remember, pirates are greedy. Alright, that was a lot. Let's do a quick rundown on everything that was suggested in this video. From the very top, we have presentation and how I think we, or this game, should use Treasure Planet as a jumping off point. Let's not forget music and how I demand Sky Pirate Shanties. It's just, at least give me that. Moving right along to the combat system, we addressed the long downtime between turns because of the full turn system. That, of course, is staying, but we added supportive actions, both attack and defense. We made combat focus more on generating SP through different means, so you're not always just focusing all day long. From the extra amount of SP you will have through the system, you will now have dual specials that cost a little more, but do more. The way you gain them is through the story, side quests, and discoveries. The reason you gain some through the story is you have more reasons to do the side content, both discoveries and side quests. We touched upon elemental resonance, a new system in which if you use the same element for long enough or kill enough enemy with that same element for long enough, different avenues to get the same result, you will be rewarded with increased crit chance when doing an assist, and most importantly, you will have more power to your magic and gain more experience with your magic. This creates a loop where on occasion you will have to bring magic in, do some cool magic spell, and then leave. For those who know strategy, if you plan this in your actual strategy, you can bring magic, buff your person's magic attack, and have even more damage. Lastly, we talked about the crew and how they can assist you in battle. Futaba, if you will. The exception to this is that it is not tied down to the SP meter, but that's fine. You have no control over this system, so you shouldn't be reliant on SP to use it. Remember, they just show up if they feel like it. Next, we took a time addressing the ship battle and how that must stay. We can speed them up, but to take them away would be a crime. We gave them more ways to deal with ship combat other than to fire that massive cannon. Now you can repel enemies or bore their ship to take them for everything they're worth. We gave an example on how this system can be used in conjunction with a side quest when we brought up the Phoenix earlier. Ace combat. I don't need to say any more than that. Just ace combat, please. Fleet combat. Given a way to skip back-to-back ship battles if you choose to. Ties in with the crew system, giving you a reason to deepen in their relationship with other characters, unlocking more powerful assists. Wait a minute, deepening relationships? Persona. We added 2 new moons, one of them being the dark moons. I mean, really, like, look at this design. It is too good. And the second one is giving water an actual moon, not just having tide with the wind. I mean, this Gigas doesn't scream water, and it doesn't even have a water attack, for God's sake. We also gave magic a light tune-up as a whole as well. Because fire didn't burn. It didn't need to because it did massive damage, but it still didn't burn. New moon, new faction. A true pirate presence, if you will, with a long multi-chapter quest that will take you through multiple pirate lords. Explain how you're a part of it because your dad's a goat, and this itself will deepen the world, scale, and create opportunities for more character moments, both new and old. The new gig is looking scary. The lagoon, the wall, and the fountain. And just a few more things I want to talk about real quick. I want to make it so we have a new game plus, because why not? The Tales of series does it well. You don't need a grade system, but it would be nice to just carry some stuff, increase experience, magic, the works. And one of the last things I want to add to this game is that on occasion, there is a swarm of monsters surrounding a black moonstone fragment. They just come up from the abyss, and you just go and deal with them, fight a mini boss, and afterwards you get a moonstone, the black moonstone fragment. When you return enough of these to the black moonstone in the dark reef, you gain some stuff. Items, skills, moonberries, specials, experience, stats, random stuff. And the culmination of gaining all this stuff is now you have a black moonstone chunk. You take that black moonstone chunk, put it on your ship's cannon, and now you force light and dark to be at the same spot, at the same density and power, and you essentially change your moonstone cannon and shoot an event horizon to somebody. That just sounds massively cool, overpowered, and I have an imagination, if you couldn't tell. Look, I can add way more. I can do so much. I can write scripts, I can get scenarios, I can do the math, I can do all that. But I'm gonna stop right here. Hopefully, by now, you guys can see a case for bringing this game back. Why it has too much potential to just let it die as an IP. the setting itself is unique enough to branch out into so many different possibilities. It's sad that Sega doesn't see it. Everything that was said in this video can be used by any developer that they want to, if they want to. Sega is the only one that can just use this IP. You just change the name, change locations, change some characters, and there you go. You can have your own Sky Pirate fantasy world. This isn't a call to action for Sega. It really ain't. I just wanted to just express what I believe Skies of Arcadia as an IP can accomplish or even do in a modern day gaming landscape. If it wasn't clear, I love this game. I really do. Okay, take number 22 or whatever. I don't know how to say thank you enough. I don't know how to show my utter gratitude for having you guys here with me. This is a new chapter in my life. I want to be able to feed my family with this. I want to be able to take care of the people who took care of me with this. But most importantly, I want to thank you guys for just being here. It means so much. I really cannot put it in words. I thought this would be a quick project, month and a half maybe, tops. It's about to be 4 months. Work and everything else happens. Life does happen, but I stuck through it, and this is one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life. And I get to share that with you guys. I get to show you what I love, my specialty, this large hobby that we all share. So again, thank you for hearing me out, commenting, liking it, subscribing, sharing, whatever you did. Just thank you. Even if you just watched it as a podcast, just thank you. It means the world to me. I don't know how to end this section of the video. I don't have a catchphrase. I don't have anything. So only way I can think of is I'm gonna pose you guys a question. For the next video, what would you like to see more? I have 2 coming out. Would you like to see Sonic and how Sega kinda doesn't know what to do with the blue blur and how Sonic breaks his home games? Or would you like to see Mega Man and how Capcom does not want to innovate or even try with the blue bomber? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to just not disappoint you. Once again, thank you. Have a wonderful day. You all are awesome.